Hey guys, just a quick update after yesterday. Had a bit of a late night last night, Max and I, getting stuff done. Definitely weren't just drinking beers and talking shit. So I spent today getting the Bay primer. He's fucking mint. Really happy with how it's come up. And I'm really keen to get some white on it because I reckon it's just going to look so mint. So even down in this section here where we've plated up the old hole. See, that just looks, it just is really nice. I'm really happy with it. This sort of work is so satisfying once it actually starts to come together. By the time it's got color on it, things just look mint, and it's just you get a lot of like personal satisfaction out of it. I'm really excited about it. So it's about 9 o'clock at night. Just had dinner and stuff like that. So I've made the decision to, because I had already these brand spankers billet or pump gears, and I was debating about whether or not to use them. I've decided with how far I'm going with this motor that I do want to use them. I've got an extended collar there as well, so I'm going to get up early in the morning and head down. I'm going to go ahead and get this crank machine to fit the extended collar on it. It's not so much the money, it's more the time it's going to take. Just the downtime of not having the crank means I can't put the motor together. But honestly, it's once I do that with the extended collar, billet gears, ARP head studs, Kinetic gasket, like this motor is like, short of going for forged rods and pistons, that is about it, like for reliability in an RB30. Like it'll be really strong motor. So I figured it's worth doing. The only problem is those gears suit an RB25 pump. They don't fit the RB30 pump, which is different. It just so happens I had this 25 pump just in amongst some crap that I've had for years. So we've got an RB25 pump, billet gears. She's going to be mint. So all I'm going to do tonight now is we've got our new main and big end bearings. They're boxed as NDC, but they are actually King bearings. So good quality bearings in it. I'm just going to check the clearances tonight, and then in the morning get down. I've got to drop the ute off as well, the red 1-tonner. The owner's decided that he does want us to do the diff gears in it, so I'm just going to drop that off because I don't have time at the moment. They're going to put some 3.9 gears in it for us. So I'll drop that off, drop this crank off at the machine shop to get the extended collar put on it, and Max will bring me up in the morning, and we will probably continue this video from there. Yeah, really stoked with how this engine bay's come up, and that the way this car is going. Honestly, it's so probably way overboard. It's so much effort for an R31. It's been so much work, but I'm really keen to see it finished, just to sort of showcase a bit what we are capable of doing as far as like neat engine bays and things like that, if we want to do it. So yeah, I'm keen as. And as far as R31s go, it's going to be really neat. And I'm keen as. I'm just upset that I won't get to actually drive and use it before I sell it. But, them's the breaks. Sometimes it be like that.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back. So the clip you just watched, Rex going through the engine bay, which is all done, which looks mint, and his bearing clearances, which he actually did them all. They all come up pretty good except for one rod, which is the one, when we pulled that motor out, it did have a spun bearing. So the one that had the spun bearing is a little bit out of round, so we've got some spares, we're going to swap it out. But apart from that, all the other clearances come back really good. This morning we've been busy. Rex took his crank down to machine shop to get the extended collar snout put on it. As you all know, probably a lot of you that watch this channel who even came here from my RB videos, the Achilles heel to the RB setup is the oiling, particularly the pump and the way it's set up. So very common for pump gears to walk and destroy each other, and most of that is because the snout of the drive on the crank, the collar on the crank doesn't engage the entire gear, so it gives it the ability to walk around, especially with harmonics, and it can eventually lead to gear and pump failure, which, as we all know, motors doing high RPM, you know, with no oil pressure, it doesn't really go very well. So that's gone down this morning to go get that done. We've also dropped the red LS ute that we rebuilt off to the diff shop to get the diff gears done. We've just been back from that. What a pain. Just sold me a little pulsar that I bought a few months ago. You would have seen that. Just I bought it. I have not had time to look at it, so I just decided to sell it instead of trying to screw around with it, because I've got the mighty comfy Coon here, which I've just not really had much desire of having another daily driver. So I decided to get rid of that, so that's gone. So now we're finally getting to some Skyline things again today. So we've dragged up the Sillo, pumped up the tyres, dragged it up. Just having a look at the interior we're going to pull out to put in Rex's. So we've got, now that's actually, I'm pretty sure when I showed you this car, it was on the trailer and I couldn't open the doors or anything. So you can have a good look in here now. So we've got Sillo back seats. As you know, well, a lot of 31s will know Sillo and TI stuff, like, you know, fold down seats, armrests in the back. Very cool. We've got the center console here, which you can see has the headphone inputs, has lost the knobs, but anyway, probably won't actually wire that up when we put it in Rex's, but the center console with the lids are much better than the open center consoles, which in Rex's case is better than no center console because it doesn't have one at all. So there's so much of this we're going to put in Rex's. We're going to pull this carpet out. It's got a fair bit of mold and gunk and crap on it, but it is the really nice dark carpet, which is pretty rare in 31s as well. Most of them were either like mine is brown or blue. So we're going to pull this carpet out, try and gurney it out and try and get rid of all the mold so it'll look nice in Rex's. So yeah, Rex's will have all these Silhouette door cards. They're all here. It's just a shame someone's robbed the light lenses off the front doors, which go in here. Once again, probably not going to bother trying to wire these up in Rex's car, but just having the lenses to cover the hole will be so much better. This door card's a bit ripply. I think that's just because it's not bolted in properly. So hopefully we can sort that out, but it's going to be full Silhouette door cards in Rex's car with the Silhouette back seat, which will look real nice. And, you know, the dark Silhouette carpet with the Silhouette center console. And yeah, Rex is going to tidy up his dash fascia a bit, get rid of a lot of the crap on there. And it's going to have a pair of these SAS bucket seats in it. Not the nicest seats in the world, but you know, quite comfortable and ADR compliant. So definitely good enough for what we're going to do. So that's what this thing will look like inside. It'll be a lot nicer with all that cleaned up and nice door cards and everything like that. So yes, but anyway, what we don't want to do before we go too far, ripping this car apart, is try and get this engine running. So as far as we're aware, this motor's should be okay, runner. We're not going to keep this motor, we're going to try and sell it, which is why we want to try and get it running so that we can advertise it as a running motor to sell. Because, you know, it's a lot nicer to be able to have videos and show people the car running than just sell them a motor on a pallet that's on known conditions. But the issue we have is someone's completely butchered the alternator and starter loom on it. It looks like the engine loom is pretty well intact. ECU's still in it, so hopefully it'll all run. But what we need to do is sort out getting power to the starter and the alternator so we can get it to run. Fuel lines as well. Someone's cut the fuel lines. So once we set up fuel lines and a pump, get power to it, hopefully we can start it, see what it's like as a runner. Hopefully it runs okay and is all pretty quiet, and we'll chuck it up for sale. So if anyone's looking for an RB30, we'll find out very soon if it's a runner, if anyone wants to buy it. Check this grossness out. God, can't see it on camera, but it's like so compacted and wet. It's obviously been sitting in here for so damn long. Oh yeah, real nice. Real nice, I like it. So the back here was just as gross at the front as the front, I should say. But now it's time for me to get off my louvers for my 31. Sorry how to find louvers in this sort of condition, because a lot of them either got cut up to make roof wings, which is an abomination if you ask me. A lot of them just didn't withstand the test of time. Because they are plastic, they get brittle. So lucky for me, this one's in really good condition. Hell yeah, boy! Boy. Not one crack. Man, that's cool. Gonna look so good on the old 31 down there with the TIs and everything. It'll just really add to the stock look of the car. I think it's gonna be sweet. Alright, so this is what I was telling you guys in the other episode about checking behind the indicator to check the inner guard, where it's pretty common for R31s to rust. Now, given all of the crap I blew out of up there on that infill panel, I'm going to assume this one's going to be pretty rusty. So if you undo that screw, it just slides forward and pops out. And you can actually just pop the bulb out of the indicator and get that out of the way. And then you can look straight in there. So just in there and up, you can usually see that's where they normally rust. So this one doesn't look actually too bad. Honestly, after getting around this shell a fair bit and having to clean up, it is a real shame that it's bent at the front here and it's been absolutely cooked, because apart from that, it was actually not a bad shell, honestly. So bit of a shame that people do that sort of thing, but it is what it is. What do you do about it? Anyway, that's how you get the indicator out and just have a look up there for some rust if you're looking at buying one. All right, we're sort of ready to see if we're going to die or not.
Well, yeah, we'll put some fuel in it and find out. That surge tank definitely comes in handy as a temporary fuel system though.
I've got the hose ready for in case there's a fire. So hopefully it's not a fuel fire, because if it's a fuel fire, that hose is going to be useless for us. But I mean,
well, here goes nothing. And if we need to shut it down in a hurry, just take one of those fucking things off.
kick it.
Dos de cobras, I say. Alright, here goes nothing.
Alrighty, we can't get this thing to get any spark. We tried everything. We tried a new distributor, we tried a new coil, we tried a new coil lead. You know, it's just getting to the point now we're spending too much time just trying to get it running. There's obviously a cost involved with time, and much more time spent on it is going to be us going backwards. So we're just going to leave it. Going to be sold as an unknown, unrunning unknown.
Yeah, because without knowing, like, this loom's been butchered. So without a complete loom, without 100% knowing that that wiring's fine, you don't even know where to start looking. Like, we could just spend days trying to find the problem. It's just not worth it.
So anyway, we give up, and the thing doesn't run. So that's just how it is. Another thing I forgot to mention as well, guys, I did get my mate Matt to cut me up my net for my catch can, which is all here. So Matt's a sheedy, he's got a gillo and stuff at his house, so I got him to cut it all up for me, so that's awesome. So I'm still waiting on fittings. I thought about trying to weld up what I can at the moment, but then it'd be like making the catch can we would spread over 2 videos and it would just be stupid. So I'm gonna wait till I've got my fittings so I can make the video of actually making the catch can all in one hit. But anyway, as for this thing now, can't get it running, not gonna really bother now. So what I'm going to do is degrease it all down, so it's pretty good to work on. I'm gonna drag it inside, where I'll actually start to sort of strip it. What I'm going to do is get like the engine, gearbox, everything ready to come out. We just went to the hardware to have a look, see if they had any pallets we could steal, but they didn't have any. So at the moment, don't have any pallets to actually put it on. So I'm just going to get it ready to get out of the car and leave it in there and advertise it, and hopefully it goes pretty quick. Anyway, at the very least, I'll degrease it, get it inside, start pulling out the interior stuff we need out of it for Rexes, because we're going to need that fairly soon. But I would like to sort of part this out and get rid of it fairly quick. We're starting to accumulate too many buckets of junk, so a lot of those cars as well there, I'd like to sort of start actually just parting them out and getting rid of them, because we just got too many. There truly is nothing quite as satisfying as degreasing down a dirty, filthy engine bay. It's so nice.
Gorry, Gorry.
Much nicer in there now after a good clean up. It'll be much nicer to work on. So you can see what happens when they got holes up there under the guards. That's why the carpet's all mouldy, is because of those rust holes, because it fills full of water. That's what happens. But anyway, you get that on the big jobs. A lot of stuff on this car is pretty good to sell. Like this Sillo boot lip's actually not too bad. Like I was saying in the other video, just need to find a way to actually mount that wing down again. Apart from that, just got a little bit of rust up here. and up here, but you know, for a drift car or something, it's not in bad shape. Not in bad shape at all. So you just need to actually screw that spoiler down properly and mount it from underneath. We've got this door, the other two side doors are all perfect, there's not a dent on them. This door's a little bit dented down the bottom where it's dented in the sill, so it's got a few dents in this door here, it's not perfect, but the other three doors are pretty much straight as an arrow, straight as a die. This guard, so the driver's side guard is straight as well, it's perfect. All the other little bits and pieces on it to sell, so if anyone's looking for parts, it's going to be here getting parted out. So that's another real painful realization I'm coming to with sort of selling my 31 and getting Rexes ready to sell and doing this and stuff, is I thought I'm going to have to make a decision pretty soon on whether I'm ever going to do another one. Decide whether to just sell all my parts or not, because I have seriously so much parts, and if I'm not going to do another one, that's going to take up heaps of room that I need. So I need to make that decision as to whether I'll ever delve back into 31s or not again. But you know, I thought I wouldn't once, and I ended up with my car back. So it's a bit of a hard decision to make. So got the beast inside, so I'm just going to start stripping the interior, stripping the seats out and stuff, ready to go into Rexes, so that I can pull the carpet out. We're going to start giving that a clean, pull the door cards out, get all the interior out of it, so that I can then start working on getting the motor ready to come out. That way that whatever I pull off the motor or whatever I pull out of the engine bay, I can just toss it in the car and it can just live in there. But obviously need to get the interior out first. Much to film really, so I won't put you on time lapse for that because it'd be boring as. But that's all I'm going to do, is just start pulling all this interior out, and then we'll see how clean we can get this carpet, try and get the mold off it. While I'm doing that, Rex is going to be over here getting the rod sorted out, replacing that one rod that seems to be a little bit out of round from where it spun a bearing previously. So we've got heaps of spare rods and pistons, so we just got another one that measured up pretty round and use that one instead, so that it's all good. Going to put the old piston off the outer round rod on the new rod though, because the good thing about RB30s is they are full floaters. So they are not a press pin, they're a full floating gudgeon pin. Real easy to swap over the piston onto the right one. So still be the right piston, same rings, blah blah blah. Just swap it over onto a new rod that has a little bit better bearing clearance, that's a bit more round. Alrighty guys, long night, but we're getting there. I've got most of the interior pulled out of this thing, apart from the door cards, which can happen a bit later. As you can see, that is all gross, all that deadening stuff, so I've left a lot of that in it, and I pulled it off the carpet that I actually pulled out when I pulled it out, because I figure it's just going to hold water and be gross, so it can go. You can see this carpet's all pulled out. Hopefully this GoPro's picking this up okay. I know GoPros aren't that good in low light, but as you can see, apart from it being like moldy and dirty and gross, apart from that, it's actually in quite good condition. There's no real tears or rips or anything in it, so I'm really hoping like with a gurney and some exit mold, I don't know, like a few chemicals and stuff, we can really bring this carpet up till it's nice and clean. That'd be the ideal, so get rid of all that mold and grossness. So get rid of all that. Pulled the back seats out, because Rex's has the fire brake in the boot, because he's got a surge tank in the boot of that thing. I just took the carpet off the back of the back seats, so I'll show you here. Got the parcel shelf and everything out. So you can see I took the carpet back off, but I put the trims back on, put the screws back in, and I put all of the clips back in the back of the seats. Not only so someone in future might want to put carpet back on it, but also just because I reckon it's going to help hold the trim of the seat to the back to the steel. So it just makes it a lot nicer doing that. So it's probably a bit of a mute point to document something like that, but I figure if whoever buys this car, you know, goes back and watches these videos, might like to see exactly why we've done everything that's done to the car, and sort of know everything that's going on with the car. So parcel shelf, back seat, seat belts ready to go in, carpet once it's cleaned up ready to go in. I've got the center console and all the trims that, you know, we're going to be looking for. I've chucked in the boot of Rex's car here, just so that they're easy to find and go through once we start wanting to put it all back together. And then if, you know, there's anything in there we didn't really want, we can just chuck it out after that. So yeah, fair bit of work fitting it all back in too. But that's Rex's fire brake that I was talking about. But no, it'd be good having a full interior. So the next thing is going to be these C-pillar trims. I'll flog them off. So Rex's has still got front seat belts, which is good. I'm missing one B-pillar trim on that side. Both is A-pillar trims, but we're going to steal those out of the Pintara we've got down there, just because this Skyline's obviously been sitting outside in the sun for a lot longer. They're a lot more sun damaged and brittle, so we'll pull those B and A trims out of the Pintara. But that's not to worry because they're pretty much the last thing to go to the interior anyway. So it doesn't have to be done in a hurry. Yeah, I suppose I'll pull this door up so that I can actually see this carpet a bit better in the light. It'll be easier to see once it gets dark as well. It's in this weird ambient afternoon dusk. It makes it a bit harder to see, especially for me because my eyes are wrecked. But I'll start cleaning up this carpet, try and gurney it off and get it as clean as I can. So while I've been doing all that, Rex, what he found actually was when he started playing with getting that piston off rod number 2 to put it on the new rod, that like I was saying, the RBs are a full floater, but he was finding that all of the gudgeon pins were a little bit tight. They weren't actually floating properly. So what he actually decided to do was pull all of the pistons off all the rods and actually linish all the gudgeon pins and just like slightly hone and clean up the actual pistons so that the gudgeon pins actually go in and properly float now. So they just gunked up with carbon buildup and that from the engine over X amount of time. So normally, if you're doing a quick rebuild, it's not something you really look at. So, but because Rex had to press that other piston, or not press, but had to put that other piston on that rod.
No. I left that just whole piston and rod.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't put the new rod on it?
No. That's the old one. The whole unit.
Oh, okay. So you actually put the new piston in it as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. No worries.
This one actually has. You see, it's actually got some scuff marks around the top of it anyway.
Oh, yeah, I see.
This one's in better nick anyway. So.
Yep.
But yeah, that's how it should be there. Just a
full float.
Just floats in. Whereas I had to knock these out with a with a drift and a hammer.
So the difference is, like, you know, your old school small block Chevs, that sort of thing, they're actually a press in. Even your Gen 3 LS rods and pistons, they're actually a press in pin. So what that means is that they float in the piston, but they press into the rod, into the little end of the rod. So, you know, to change piston on a rod, you got to literally press out the pin, and it's a real pain in the ass. And by nature, motors that have press in pins don't like to rev as much. Full floaters are really good for high RPM. And so things like your Gen 4 LS, your RBs, all of them, the Js, they're all full floating, which basically means the gudgeon pin completely floats in the piston. And what you actually have is, you can see there you've got a groove at the end of the pinhole in the piston. And what that is to accommodate a spring lock or a wire lock. So on RBs, these are pretty much a circlip. But you know, a lot of places have like a wire lock or a spiral lock. A lot of different manufacturers of pistons. So pretty much having that full floating gudgeon pin allows you to rev a bit higher, and they're a lot happier. And it's really cool that, you know, RBs way back in the mid '80s had this covered. So really are an awesome motor. I've made many videos about why these motors are so cool, especially considering when they came out and what they came out in, and how lucky we are in Australia to have them in abundance. So rightio guys, so just went down and had some dinner, but before I went down to dinner, was busy cleaning up this carpet. I used a combination of good old trusty heavy duty exit mold, and as well as this Turtle power out actual upholstery cleaner. So I used a combination of those two on this carpet, plus obviously gurneyed the crap out of it. And yeah, the color of the water that was coming out of it was pretty horrendous. So it's hard to see in the dark, but I'm pretty excited to see this carpet in the daylight. I'm pretty sure it's going to have come up quite good. So that's awesome. Rex is still working on his pistons and rods, so not much is going on there.
One to go.
Got one left. And after that, we'll probably get started on this head. We'll see how we're feeling. It's all, it's coming on. Obviously, you know, this 31 build's moving a lot faster than my 31 build. And the reason for that is it's not my money.
It has to move quick. We need it sold.
Oh, God. I'm sorry, yeah. Sorry, guys. Sorry for leading you on with this whole deal thing, but
it's just not 100% done yet. So.
Yeah, it's not done yet, but trust me, it's worth it. So worth it.
This whole build has just gotten so out of hand. Like this motor, like the level I'm going to is just so, like, it's just so ridiculous. It's going to be such a nice motor when it's done. And then the whole car, the engine bay, the interior, the whole thing, like, it's going to be an absolutely mint. It just got so out of hand so quick.
Someone else is going to really enjoy this. So if you're watching this and you bought this car, congratulations. It's probably going to be the nicest 31s getting around, really.
I really don't want to sell it, but I have to.
Yeah, I don't want to sell mine either, but you know, you got to do what you got to do. A bit more progress. Rex is done with his pistons and rods, and the gudgeon pins, they're all sorted. I've been just keeping on working with this interior, this silhouette. So got all the door cards out and everything here. They should clean up really nice, or you know, as nice as a 31 really gets these days. So pretty stoked with the condition that they're in. What I've also done is pulled out all of the two front door handles as well as the boot latch, because we are also going to pull out the ignition barrel so that this car is all the same key. So we got this key. This key is going to open the boot door latch and the ignition barrel, so that this car here will be all the same key. So now Rex is moving on to the head. So Rex has started to clean that up. So the issue that I have run into is I've never really explored this much into an R31 before, but the ignition barrel is actually designed so that you can't remove it. So you can see from this side where the thread goes in from the other side of the column, and from the other side of the column you can see that the bolt heads are designed so that you can't actually get anything on them. So the ignition barrel here is actually designed so that you cannot remove it from the car. So we're just gonna have to drill this out and then bolt it into the other one. But obviously Rex is using the drill to clean up the head at the moment, so I'm not gonna do that right now. But yeah, that's just something to look out for, is we actually have to drill the ignition barrel off the column. Rightio, got the ignition barrel off, just had to drill it out, not a big deal. All sorted. So now I've got ignition barrel, both front door locks, and the boot latch, all on the same key, ready for this car. So it's all going to be one key, which is just so much better. Rex has cleaned up the head, gave it a gurney. So yeah, it's been disassembled, so it's just a matter of cleaning up, and we'll get started on these valves probably tonight. It's crazy how fast things happen when you got two people sort of working at them that are both pretty efficient and both doing different things. So.
Oh, you got it out.
Yeah, it's out.
Oh yeah. It's all coming together.
It's all coming together. Right, so Rex decided he's going to do a little bit of port work on this head. Like not so much port work, but just smooth out all the casting marks. There are some pretty wild casting marks in the old RB30 heads. So you know, literally just smoothing those out. It does a lot for air when it's, you know, when it's under pressure and it's got mass. Those sorts of sharp edges actually do affect your airflow quite a bit.
They disrupt the flow, and they increase your coefficient of drag at the interface of the cylinder wall, of the port wall.
Yeah, the valve.
You can see the intakes aren't too bad, but the exhausts have quite a lip on them. Like that sharp edge there, that's just shit. So it'll help a lot. We'll do a bowl blend on particularly the exhaust, but the intake as well. And then just try and polish the ports out, make them nice and shiny and smooth, just to get that air in and out. I'm not going to bother like fully porting them out, just a basic head porting bowl blend and smoothing job.
So they reckon literally 80% of your increase in flow or your gain in flow for head porting is in just smoothing out the casting, and like your last 20% is just where you pretty much need a flow bench to be starting to get that real last couple of percentage when you're really chasing power. But even just smoothing out the casting marks, and the other thing is porting out your actual combustion chambers. 30 combustion chambers by nature are actually quite a good design. There's not really any real sharp edges in them, but there are some head designs that have very sharp edges in the combustion chambers. The problem with this is obviously the way temperature works. Your points, or I suppose your high spots, get real hot before anything else, and this can lead to detonation because you have, you know, a real hot spot in the cylinder. So a lot of times, not so much with these sorts of designs heads, but a lot of other heads where they have sharp edges in the combustion chambers or high spots, it's a really good idea to blend them as well and smooth them out. But yeah, the old 30 combustion chambers are a pretty nice smooth design. They're not too bad at all. Yeah, it's another reason why the RB30s are such a good motor. So while Rex is going at the head, I'll probably actually start with this thing pretty much stripped to the point where we've got everything we need out of it now. I'll probably actually start stripping what's left of Rex's interior. So pull out Rex's carpet, pull off Rex's door cards and stuff. So I wanted to wait until this was pretty much empty to do that, so that I can just pull this stuff out of this car and just toss it into this car. And yeah, one of our biggest issues we have with this place, as you've seen, we have heaps of crap, and we just struggle to find places to put stuff. So, you know, clear out one car so that I can clear the other car and chuck it all straight into this car. It makes a lot of sense to do it that way. So, Yep, pretty empty in there now. Smashed all that out. Whoever actually stripped it didn't bother to actually pull out any of the seatbelts. They just cut them all. So, I don't know. Props to whoever did that. But Rex is still working on this head. So guys, while I got yous at the moment, and I've got these two pumps side by side, I want to give you basically a bit of an insight into the differences between the RB30 and the 25 pumps. So for this build, we've decided to go, or Rex, sorry, has decided, not me, because it's not my money and I didn't decide anything. But Rex ended up buying billet gear set, so billet oil pump gears, plus he's got the Nido extended crank collar, which, as we explained at the start of this video, is currently at the machine shop getting installed on the crank. So, like I was saying, pretty common known weak spot for the RBs is the RB oil pump, and you know, specifically the failure of the gear sets. So I've gone into detail in a few videos about why that is, even this one earlier on, so I'm not going to go into detail about that now. But at the moment, I just want to show you the differences between the 30 and the 25 pumps and the gear sets while they're side by side. So you can see here, this is an RB30 oil pump. You can see a major difference in the teeth profile firstly. So the teeth profile compared to this here, RB25 pump, the teeth profile is massively different. Very much finer teeth. Second thing you do notice is this divider in between the teeth, which the 25 pump doesn't have. And the other thing you will see is if you pull out the center gear of the 25 pump, see how this whole gear is a collar, and the problem is that the collar on the crank only engages about half that gear, but there's actually nothing else in the pump to center the gear. So the gear is completely reliant on where the crank is, which is why 25 pumps have a nasty habit of walking and destroying the pump gears, which causes, you know, oil pump failure, which leads to massive failures in the engine. So there's a few major reasons that this happens. As I said, I've gone into them before, but yeah, the major one being that it walks the center gear around at harmonics and causes the gears to eat themselves away pretty much, which is why it is very common to put either billet pump gears or an extended snout on the crank so that it actually engages the entire width of the gear, which stops the gear walking so bad. The best insurance is to do both, but usually either one does help quite a lot. Now, turn your attention to the RB30 pump. You'll see that with this divider, it doesn't actually allow the gear to walk as bad, because instead of walking into the gear, it's actually using this divider to sort of keep it in situ. The second thing you'll notice when I pull the center gear out of the 30 pump here is that there is actually a center ring in the pump, and that the collar on the gear only engages half the gear, which is all that the snout will engage anyway. But the thing is that with the crank going through this centerpiece and the gear sitting inside that centerpiece on the pump, it doesn't actually allow the gear to walk anywhere. The gear actually is centered on the pump pretty much all the time. So, so with this pump design, as well as the fact that by nature the RB30 cranks are quite a bit heavier, and they don't rev as high by nature just because they have a much heavier crank and a longer stroke. You find that these RB oiling issues are much less prevalent in the 30s compared to, say, the 20s or the 25s and 26s. And so that is a major reason why I believe. I'm a big fan of the 30 pump. 25 pump is, you know, awesome if you wax some billet gears in it and put the extended collar on it, like we are doing to this motor. That's pretty much a surefire assurance that your oil pump is going to, you know, live its best life at high RPM. But yeah, I just thought I'd show you as well. We had them side by side, the differences between the two pumps. Your 25, 26 and 20 gears will not fit in a 30 pump, or vice versa. You can't interchange these gears because of that divider in the pump. So don't let anyone tell you you can do that. But yeah, that's a quick rundown on some differences in the RB oil pumps. Rightio guys, so just checking in with the pump with these billet gears. The inner gear is a little bit tight where it houses in the pump, so we're going to hone the where it sort of goes around the pump. We're going to polish it out and hone it out so that the inner gear is not very tight, but the outer gear is really good. So anyway, we're going to do that. It's pretty much midnight at the moment, so that's probably going to be the last thing we do tonight. So I'm going to sign off the video here. Hope you have enjoyed again with the RB and R31 content. Been a fair bit of good information in this video, so sorry if it's going to be pretty long. But, you know, it is what it is. Hope you have enjoyed. And, yeah, hit subscribe, smash that little bell so that you don't miss anything. And we'll see you on the next one. So, you know, this has still got a long way to go. Got a lot of build content coming up with it. So, yeah, hit subscribe, smash like, leave us a comment. Stoked on you all watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace, guys. Catch you later. Righty, guys. Last little thing before we go. Being after midnight today, Rex is officially now 31. It's his 31st birthday. Today. How convenient is that?
Woo.
Woo. Tuesday, woo. So, Rex is 31 years old, and
We're halfway through the
halfway
31
through the
project.
31. So, how fitting is that? How do you feel about it, Rex?
Sad.
Well, everyone wish Rex a happy birthday, and we'll see us on the next one, which it will still be his birthday, because that'll be in the morning when we wake up, so
Yes.
it's going to be his birthday for ages.
You.